This is episode 22 with speaker, 4-time best-selling author, and creator of the Activate movement, Lucinda Cross. Hello and welcome once again to the episode of the UV Effect podcast. Thank you, of course, for joining me. Today's episode, we have a fantastic guest by the name of Lucinda Cross, and she is a 4-time best-selling author, TEDx speaker. She has been on television all over, and her story is one that makes you believe in the comeback. She started off, when it comes to her journey, when she was 19 years old, she was incarcerated. And as you will hear in this interview, you'll hear her story, you'll hear why she was incarcerated and what she had to do to change her life even when she was still in prison. You know, the change didn't come after she left. She changed when she was in prison. She decided that this is not where she wanted to be and that she wanted to make a different life for herself, have a better life for herself. And she did just that. So Lucinda Cross has created this platform on the importance of leadership, and that's where she started off when it comes to her company. She focuses on many different platforms when it comes to leadership, professional development, in the workplace, in business, wherever it is. She's all about leadership and developing leadership in young women and developing not just leadership, but also opportunities for young women and for women that are not as fortunate as others, being able to give opportunities to them and teach them how to make opportunities for themselves. So in this interview, we talk about that. We talk about her dream board kit that she created, where, dreaming big is a big thing for her. When she was incarcerated, she she created this dream board for herself while she was in there, almost like imagining a world that she could create for herself when she gets out of here, imagining what she needed to do for herself in order to get, when she got out of here, to make a life that she wanted to live. And I think that that's such a powerful story. To think that, while she was in prison, she was, she was dreaming up what her world would be, like what she's going to need to do to make her world better than it is right now. And I think that's very empowering. And it speaks well to the fact that wherever you are, it doesn't just start, great things don't just happen out of the blue. No matter how bad your situation is, you do have to take that first step. You have to do the effort. There's not much you can do when you're in prison, but she did something. She created that dream board. She allowed herself to dream and to envision a world that she's going to live. That's just powerful to think about it that way. No matter how little how little you come from or what you're unable to do, there's still something to do. There's still something that you can do to make your life, to progress your life and to get yourself ready for when your time comes for you to actually do and make moves. And as she says, activate. So she has conferences and events all about the Activate movement is what she calls it. And what that is really about activating your life, putting your life in action, providing purpose for your life and doing things with your life, again, no matter how bad your situation is. So I think the conversation I had with her was very empowering. It was inspiring, of course, but I think it was also just like this reminder of what we need to do in order to make our lives better for ourselves. In order to do what we want to do in our lives and in the world, we have to activate ourselves. We have to put ourselves into action. We have to, of course, use our unique value to make the world that we want to live and to do the things that we want to do. Use what we love, our unique value, the gifts that come naturally to us, things that we, the powers that we have in order to transform and create a life that we want. So this is a fantastic reminder of that key step of activation, of action. So it's a fantastic conversation. You might have heard of Lucinda Cross, and she's been on BET and she travels quite a bit and she speaks a lot. A lot of people love her. I know I've heard her speak before. She's a fantastic speaker. And I know that you're going to be able to pull out some great things from this interview. So without further ado, enjoy. much for joining me.
Hey, thank you for having me here.
I really appreciate you being on the show today and to be able to share your story. I'm really excited about it. We're going to go straight into the questions, but I think for you, when I look at you, you are really a mover and a shaker. Like, you're a person that's just moving and doing amazing things all the time. You're a speaker, you travel, you're on TV, you're doing so much. And you do so much not just for yourself, but also for others. And when I look at your story, like, I was doing a bit of research on you for the interview, of course. And when I was looking at your story, looking at how you would share how your mom gave you so much advice and how it helped you to get to where you are today, and just looking at, everything you've been through, I really find that, where your life really started beginning, really where things, the puzzle pieces started falling into place, was the moment where you were really at the lowest point of your life.
Yes.
So I'd really want you to start off by telling us your story, and also really talking about that moment where you were 19 years old in prison and how you were able to change your mindset to focus on not making that bad decision again, or making any more bad decisions, and rather making good decisions for your life and doing something better for your life.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. And I'm doing the same thing you're doing. So we are rocking, okay? Mm-hmm. TV, traveling. So it's an honor to be a part of this session today. So for me, like, my story, starting out young, 19, really naive, looking for success in the fast lane, mm-hmm. and not wanting to go through the process. I was in college, my first semester, my whole life basically ahead of me, and I could have made such a major transition, mm-hmm. from that point, coming from the inner city, New York City public housing, raised by, my mother, who was phenomenal, but we just always had this struggle in life, and that struggle mentality traveled with me to college. Mm-hmm. And that is what I would say really played a big part in terms of my decision making. And so when I seen that there was an opportunity, and I was approached with an opportunity, mm-hmm. To travel and transport, I said yes, because I thought, this is a quick fix to a problem that I have. This is a quick solution. Well, lo and behold, I didn't know that there was a whole case going on before I even said yes. And so my yes turned into 4.5 years in prison. And from there, while my peers are graduating from college, I'm graduating from the School of Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. And that's when things really started to shift for me, because it was like the world was against me. One, I was a young Black girl. Two, I'm a woman. And three, now I have a record. Mm-hmm. And now I just made one of the worst decisions that society says, and in terms of being incarcerated. And so now they tell you, listen, it's not much for you. You have a colorful background. Mm-hmm. Get on food stamps, get a job at minimum wage, and basically that's your life. Mm-hmm. But I chose different. I decided to make a change from that.
And I know something that we're going to be talking about today is something that you did while you were in prison, was you developed a vision board. And I want to talk a bit more about vision boards and what you do with that later on in the interview. But before we get to that, I want to talk about you as a speaker, because I think a lot of what you do, when it comes to what you talk about confidence and leadership and creativity and goal setting and all these things. And obviously, as a speaker yourself, you draw from your past, you draw from the things that you've learned and everything. And when I think about these topics, I mean, plenty of speakers talk about these things, but just like any speaker, you are able to bring your own unique point of view. You're bringing your own vision, bring your own creativity to it in order for people to see a different point of view, in order for people to see a different vision, to see something else. So I actually want to know, for other speakers that are, getting started and they want to talk about certain things that maybe a lot of people talk about, how did you discover why it was so important for you to speak on the topics that you speak on, to speak to millennials, to women, to at-risk youth? How did you find the importance for you to speak?
Once I realized that my story mattered and that I can turn that message around, I tried to hide from it because I thought it was a weakness. And once I realized that the key to my strength, everyone would say, Lucinda, why do you push forward? Why do you just keep taking action? You're not letting anything stop you. There's no excuses. So I had to look at what made me this woman, this coach, this speaker that I am, that you see today. And it came from the story that I was shameful of sharing, the experience and the decision that I was shameful that I've made. And when I looked at that, I said, wait a minute. If I begin to be vulnerable, because I was speaking on stages, Gab, and I was telling everybody, be vulnerable, be authentic, but I wasn't being authentic. I wanted to tell the sweet story of how I was a corporate mom dropout and how I built my business to 6 figures. And I had the same language that everyone else who was motivating on the stage had. Maybe college is not for everyone. And you can turn, I was just giving that same wah-wah mojo motivation, rah-rah. But no one was really transforming and transitioning because I wasn't really eating my own words. And when I sat back and I said, wait a minute, Lucinda, what about your story? You want everybody else to embrace their story. Why don't you embrace yours? And I realized that was the connection that I needed to make with my audience to really make some changes. And when I did that, it opened up the doors because now women were able to say, wow, look who you are. Look what you have become. Look where you're going. And this is what happened to you. Well, let me share my story. And so it took these women from a place of pity to now power. And I stood on the stage and I said, I'm here to speak my truth and stand in my power. And that's how I would share it. I'm here to speak my truth and stand in my power. And by doing that, more and more women started to say, you know what? I'm not going to wallow in what has happened in the past. I'm going to realize that is the strength and the tool. That is my story. That is the reason why I'm here. That made me strong. That mistake, that naive decision, it added so many tools in my toolkit as a speaker that I can use to connect with women from all over in many different areas and many different classes and different cultures even. So it's amazing. It's amazing how it all came together.
Yeah, and that really is how that works. And I think when that ability to kind of be vulnerable and to embrace your story is that defining moment for a speaker, for anybody in some kind of career. I mean, an entrepreneur, that defining moment where you're able to not be so afraid of your past. And allow yourself to embrace that and take that into your career, to take that into the stage, to take that is, as I said, that's the defining moment where things really start to propel and where you're able to really reach people. And that's, again, why I really enjoy your story and what you talk about, because, I mean, you do have a vulnerable past, and it's something that a lot of people would be embarrassed about. And as you said, you were embarrassed about it. But what you inspire people to understand is that I don't think that things aren't as embarrassing as they seem to be. It all depends on how you bring it. As you're bringing it to them as this is my story and it is inspiring and you don't have to go through this. You can push through, you can do this and that. And I think that when people look at their own stories, no matter how sad or how scary or how embarrassing it may seem, what you are able to say is that, there is still inspiration in it. There is still possibility within that, and it's up to you to really unlock that and to and place that into your life so that you can share that with someone else and inspire them to believe the same thing and know the same thing and move forward the same way. So I love that.
Oh my gosh, you just I love it. You got it. I'm like, can you speak for me?
Oh my God. I love that. Actually, you did say something in there. You were talking about, when you're talking about your story, you talked about the word activate, which is something that's really big for you. Obviously, that's a big part of your brand. You speak about it, and you had events on it, huge conferences on it. And I want to know what is, well, at least tell my viewers, what does the word activate mean? Why is it so important to you and your brand?
Activate, and I share it in a joking manner. I was a huge procrastinator, the president of the procrastination committee, the vice president of the perfectionist committee, and that would stifle me many times from moving forward, and that would self-sabotage my success time and time again. And so it was one defining moment where I missed out on a six-figure deal. I mean, real talk, a six-figure deal because I did not hit the send button. And it sounds crazy, but for a chronic procrastinator who wants to go back and let me check and cross my T off, let me make sure the I is dotted. Is this right? And asking 50 million people to review it, it really prevented me from seizing an opportunity that was in front. In the first year, a little over my first year being in business, that I read this book called Strength Finders 2.0, and it works on identifying your top 5 strengths. And my top strength was activation. And I said, you know what? That's it. I'm a superhero, because I would wear my cape anyway when I would go speak, right? I would put on this Superwoman cape and I'm up and down the aisles going crazy. But I said, my superpower is activation. That's who I'm going to be. Let me embrace this and stop making excuses and just doing it and hitting the send button. And I said, you know what? No longer will I allow procrastination to prevent me from moving forward. And that's how Activate was birthed. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of other people who are best kept secrets because they're not taking action and activating their faith, their family, their friends, their finances, whatever it is. They're not just hitting the activate button. And so that's how Activate truly was birthed. It was birthed out of bondage. It was birthed out of missing out. It was birthed out of trying to be perfect all the time. It's birthed out of rejection, right? And so I knew that there was a bunch of people who were polka dot Dalmatians, such as myself, who suffered from this. And if they was able to activate, they would no longer be the best kept secret. And I'm here to be a demonstration of it. And that's why we have Activate Worldwide.
So tell us about Activate Worldwide.
So Activate Worldwide is a personal and professional leadership company. We focus on helping women and at-risk youth speak up, stand out, and earn more. And it comes in the form of communication skills, leadership skills, confidence, overcoming adversity. And I have an inner circle membership that just helps people to take action on their goals, set goals, accomplish those goals, and just keep going and raising the bar in their lives, whether it's professional or in their entrepreneurial business or just personal. Some people just need that activation lift personal. So the membership inside the company helps with that. We do lots of training. Vision board training is a major part of what we do as well, surprisingly, as well as the public speaking and the products and things.
Wonderful. So, I mean, I'm listening to your list of things, speaker, and then Activate Worldwide, author of many books, check out. I mean, there are so many different ways to reach you and connect with you and to be inspired by you and motivated by you. And then another way that you have is actually the Activate Your Vision board kit. And that's actually, you've been featured on a show called Queen Boss, which was on BET and Centric. You've been on different news outlets. You've done TED Talks and things like that. But the Activate your Vision board kit. What I really love about that is how important vision boards are and how necessary I think they can really be to somebody if they know how to use it correctly instead of just like an art piece on their wall. I love that you're giving them this way of not just creating a vision board, not just giving them scissors and glues and how to do it, but also giving them education. You have your book, which is called the make sure I say it right, but okay. You have your book, the Activate Your Vision guidebook. You have then the access to the membership for free for 30 days. You have different ways of reaching you even through the vision board. And so I really love that you're doing this, and I've seen it. I've actually I've done quite a bit of research on it myself and looking at what you actually put inside of there. And I think it's really crucial for a lot of people to have that because I think something that people have an issue with when it comes to setting visions and goals and things for themselves is that not only is it hard for them to actually put themselves in motion, but they put themselves in the wrong motion, in the wrong direction. They look at what, their favorite celebrity has, or they look at what, even their best friend has, and they think, I should have that, and I should have this, and I should be doing that. And so on their dream boards and their vision boards, they put pictures and words of other people's lives. And then, halfway through this whole dream achieving process, they get burnt out, right? They get burnt out because they didn't have any passion really for what they were going for in the future. So my question is, how can people kind of stop getting distracted? How can people get focused on what their dreams and their visions are, and then actually begin to activate it?
So even within the Activate kits that we give out, there's an instruction sheet along with the guidebook to show them how to tap into their own vision and goal and what that looks like. Because yes, a lot of people do get blinded by what they see someone else has. They want Beyonce's life. They want this one's life. They want to know, how can I be on this television? But many people are not willing to do the work in their own space. Yeah. And one thing I love is that authenticity has no competition. So instead of us looking outside, trying to find our authentic self and truth, when we work on our own goals and vision and dream, we'll see how easy it is for us to live more, obtain more, have more, become more. And so that's what I like to enforce when it comes to vision boarding. What are the things that you desire? And I ask them that before you cut and paste anything. What are the things that you desire? And then let's hone in on the one thing that you would love to accomplish that'll make you feel really great. A lot of people have a hard time coming up with a list of their own desires. And then they also have a hard time with narrowing down one thing that you're going to stay committed to. So with the vision board process comes a high level of commitment, because you could create this glamour board, and I'm looking at mine now. You can create this glamour board with, like you said, everybody else's lifestyle on there. But where do you fit in your own life? And that, to me, is what's more important. Surrounding yourself, put yourself in the middle of that board and surrounding yourself with the positive words, the things that you desire, and the goal that you're going to go after. Goal, not goals, not having, I need this and this and this and this and this, and you're not even taking step one. That goal that you're really going to actively go after with a vengeance.
I love that what you said, two things that you said. The first thing was authenticity has no competition. I love that, because I strongly believe in that. I mean, I think something that people have an issue is when we're going to business, right? And a lot of people focus on the competition more than their business themselves. Like, we have to beat out this person, we have to make more than that person, we have to make sure that we reach their clients so they bring them our clients. And those, of course, those are viable business ideas and thoughts, that have to go through your mind. But what happens is we become too consumed with that, that competition and wanting to be better and like making sure that we beat it out, that we lose sight of what, our goal is, our authenticity is. So I love that you said authenticity has no competition, because I think we need to remind ourselves of that sometimes, and remind ourselves that we can focus on our path and focus on what we are trying to achieve. We won't have to focus too strongly on what everybody else is trying to do. And then the second thing you did is you said it was the goal, like not goals, the goal, focusing on one thing at a time. That's so important, prioritizing, focusing, because myself, I am a victim of that, of going through way too much one time. I get it from my mom. She does the same thing because my mom's a worker bee. And, I kind of I'm almost the same way now. So it's like, got to kind of focus up, remind myself to just focus on one thing at a time. Do this, then I'll do that. Then I'll do that. I love that. So I actually want to go and transition to a bit of personal and talk a little bit about your family, and talk a bit about a few things. But, when it comes to the UV effect, something I always say is that we talk about three things, and how your unique value affects three things: your personal life, your professional life, and the lives of other people. And so for you are a mother. You're a mother of three, I believe. And you have two sons and a daughter. And I mean, in of itself, you being their mother must be very inspiring because of what you do and, where you came from and how you got into this place. And so that in of itself, your UV in there, and when it just comes to your story, is very inspiring. But I remember I met your daughter actually, a month ago at this event where we were both speaking. And I was first just kind of very I was so pleasantly surprised that you brought your daughter to this event, and that she was able to now see this other world of possibility and able to kind of just be a part of something, beyond just school or sports or whatever it is, seeing something else, seeing different opportunities. And so I just thought right there, like, that's just like Mother of the Year kind of, work. I just love that. And so I actually want to ask a couple of things. This is a two-part question when it comes to you as a mother and where you came from as a mother. So first thing is your mother. Mm-hmm. What advice did your mother give you that you hold on to this day, that you owe to her to this day of to getting you to where you are?
That she taught so many valuable lessons. One is the fact that you don't have to become your environment. If things are hectic around you, you don't have to stoop down to that. If there's, she always told me, you always want to pull yourself out from the crowd, Lucinda. You never want to fit in. It's okay to stand out. She stressed that. And so that's something that I instill even in my daughter. And she's having a tough time with that because she wants to fit in. She wants to be popular. And I'm telling her the same lessons. Standing out is what's more important. Standing out allows you to become your best. You want to raise the bar in your grades. You want to bring a different fashion to your school. You want to be the one who is the trendsetter and not the one following the trend. That's what I received from my mother. And that's what I'm trying to instill even in my daughter now. She's 13. She's going through a whole bunch of peer pressure. And so I'm telling her it's important. It's okay to not be a part of the popular girl group. It's okay to be the trendsetter. It's okay to stand out and kind of do your own thing. And that's still cool. Mm-hmm. So I know it's tough in this day and age with social media playing a huge factor in terms of confidence and peer pressure, but I'm still pushing her to learn more about that.
So yeah, I definitely understand what she is going through. I always felt like I was kind of like the odd one out when I was in middle school. Like I'm in high school now, but I'm homeschooled. But when I was in school, I did feel like I was the odd one out, and I did feel that pressure, like you had to fit in, because, I was bullied when I was in school, and it was definitely difficult for me. But I think early on, I kind of understood how superficial that idea is, where you have to be this certain way for people to like you, because I did have good friends that I was able to stick with when I was during high school, in middle school, being myself. And I just think that it's something that I guess has to be learned. And I think one of the main reasons why I am able to understand how great it is to be unique and how great it is to be special is because I'm doing something in my life right now that rewards my uniqueness, that rewards my being special. And I think that, like, for your daughter and for any young person that is kind of struggling with trying to, balance the world of being popular and being a teenager with also understanding who they are and wanting to be true to themselves, I think it's important that maybe you need to search for something that you can put your unique qualities into, something that you can put your time into, so that you can kind of slowly get a grasp of what it is that you really love, what you think, what you enjoy. And that can help you to kind of understand yourself a bit more. But I definitely understand that. And I love what your mom taught you and that you're teaching that to your daughter as well. That was actually my second question. The two-part question was, what do you teach your kids that you hope for them to learn and know when they're adults? And I really, that's on the nose. And I think it's very imperative. Yeah. So I really thank you for, is there anything else that you wanted to add on that, or?
No, just the last thing, like, even with, like you mentioned that, even with your brother. So I didn't realize, I have an older son who's 16. My youngest son is 7. And so I see it, the transition that happened with my 16-year-old, and he found his sweet spot. And we had to help him find his unique space. What is it that you like to do? And kind of put him in that position. And I said, guess what? There's a world, like you said, that celebrates you doing the things that you love to do. And whether you want to change and do something else, there's still another world of people who will celebrate you in that uniqueness. And so I love that you share that. And so as soon as I can get her in that sweet spot, oh gosh, I'm sending her straight to you, Gab.
I'll take her. So I really want to thank you for being here today. And before we close out, I want to let you know that I really appreciate you being here and sharing your story, because I think that you bring something that is a bit of a reminder, especially with kind of just how things are right now when it comes to the world. It's very depressing, really, where every turn there's always just something to be upset about. And I think what really how your story really correlates with how a lot of people are feeling right now is that you were literally trapped. You were in prison, and you didn't have a lot to do, a lot of ways out, and you did feel like there was nothing for you to do. But what you ended up doing was you created this vision board while you were in prison, and you created this way for you to think, so that when you do get out, that you can create something for yourself in the real world. And then, so how that really correlates for me is I look and I feel like with myself and with a lot of people, we all just kind of feel trapped right now in this environment where things are not working out how we hope them to work, and things just are depressing, and there's always just something wrong, and we feel trapped. But what you bring is understanding that even in a moment where we're trapped, especially in the moment that we're trapped, that's the moment where we have to free ourselves in our minds. Look at what we can achieve in our minds, so that when that moment comes, when you're able to put it into action, when there's something that you can do about what's happening in the world, when there's something you can do just for yourself, even for yourself, that's the moment where you can feel so much more free. I love that.
Absolutely. We have to find hope in the hopeless place. The world right now will keep telling you that we're hopeless, we're doomed, and we have to find that little drop of hope. It can change so many lives. It can change the way that your perception, the way that you see yourself in the world. And I think that's key. And for many of us, it's important, because when I came home, what saddened me the most is that I was able to look at how people who were free incarcerated themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually every single day, when I just came from a hopeless place and we were looking for an ounce of freedom. And we were told what to do and when to do it and how to do it. I'm there and my mission with building halfway houses now, taking Activate Worldwide. Now we have our not-for-profit, turning that around and now going back to say, hey, I was able to raise the bar in my life. Now I'm preparing myself to give back and create these halfway houses. So the same things that I'm teaching from the stage, online, and webinars, and now I can put that inside of a facility where I can service those women, those young women, first-time offenders, nonviolent. Maybe they've made a mistake. Maybe they said yes when they should have said no. But listen, life is not over. Let's help to rebuild that. And I think we need more of that. We need more of that. And so I'm ready to give from a full plate in my position where I'm at now. And I'm excited about it because it's the next level. And that's just what I want these women to see, is just as soon as you come out, if it's not career, if it's not corporate America, maybe it's entrepreneurship, maybe it's higher education, maybe it's just rebuilding your relationship with your family. Those little changes can change our community, instead of saying, oh, she has a colorful background, she made a mistake. So just to piggyback on what you said, we have to find hope, especially now in this hopeless place. There's so many things that are going on that we can really get frustrated about, and many of us are frustrated about, and we're literally at, some people are literally just one more thing and they're ready to snap. Yeah. We have to stand up and become our best, because somebody needs that. And if I didn't do it, who else would? And when we understand that our unique value is connected to a portion of the world that we're designated to support, we have no choice but to stand up and do what we're called to do in our space. And that's why competition is not, we don't have time for that. We need to collaborate. It's more, it's more money out there for everyone. It's enough for everyone, but we have to look at the greater cause. Somebody's being released tomorrow and she doesn't know how she's going to rebuild her life, so.
I love that. I mean, that really is the point, to detach ourselves from ourselves sometimes and look at what we can do for someone else, but still putting ourselves into it. I love that. And so I really appreciate you being here. And is there anything else that you want to share when it comes to what's coming up next for you? Anything you want to add?
I have the of course, get your vision board kit at Walmart.com. And also, I have I'm sorry.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. And also in September, I have my Activate conference, which is the 5th and final one. And we have Walmart there. We have HSN there. You have a product. We are putting those individuals and decision makers in the building so that we can just raise the bar for those who are creative, such as ourselves, right? And create things from our homes. But just to provide the resources that many of us need. And it's one thing to Google it, and it's another thing to have the decision maker in front of your face. So the Activate conference is in September in Miami, the 15th to the 17th. So would love to see everyone there.
It's a great conference. I've been there twice. I loved it. I think I was there once for speaking, and I was there supporting another person there. But the conference is really great, and the speakers there are top notch. The workshops are wonderful as well. So just so you know, the links to her books, her website, Activate Conference, all of that will be down below. So definitely check her out. Check out everything that she's doing and be inspired, because you will. Thank you so much, Miss Lucinda, for being here. I really appreciate it.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the UV Effect podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Miss Lucinda Cross, all the information that she shared, her story. I hope that you were inspired as much as I was. If you're listening to this on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitchers, be sure to subscribe and leave us a comment letting us know how you like the podcast thus far. And then head on over to GabrielleJordanInspires.com to check out all of Miss Lucinda's links to her dream board kit, her events, her website. All of that will be on that page. And also leave a comment while you're there letting us know how you liked the episode. Then head on over to Instagram to follow us at the UV Effect Podcast, or it's just the UV Effect, and check out upcoming guests, quotes that we pulled from the episode, and just fun snippets and clips that we had from the interviewing process, things like that. It's fun. And I hope that you'll join me next week for another episode of the UV Effect Podcast. See you then.